All right, so let's finish up this last character as the variable type that we haven't covered yet, and how it differs from a string. And let's talk about formatted printing and order of operations and linked lists, forms of stacks and queues, and pushing and popping from those linked lists. Um, so we're gonna get to those. I'm gonna try to keep these in segments, so those will be the segments that we do. So this is basically just a brand new file. I made testing3.java, as you can see here, testing3. This was automatically created in Eclipse when I generated testing3. And then we can go ahead and import our scanner variable. So import java.util.scanner semicolon, and then I want to make sure I close that with a semicolon at the end. And then here we can do public static void main string bracket args, right? So that is our main statement within public class testing3. So when you run this, it's going to look for main, just as a reminder. So we don't need the scanner just yet, but it's a good practice to get into. Oftentimes you are reading from the user in a lot of these earlier segments of coding, so it's good to have that just ready to go. So let's talk about character. Establishing a character variable. So character is declared by doing char, and you can name it whatever you want. So first char, right? Now the difference between a character and a string is that it's denoted by single quotations. You can, I think there is, I don't remember if it's in C or in Java for sure, but I think you can use single quotes interchangeably for strings in C. I don't remember in Java per se, but we're going to just keep it a simple convention just for the video and fluidity purposes that we're always going to use a single quote and we're always going to use a double quote for strings. So let's say I wanted to do my name, right? So Chris. You'll notice that there is an error here, and the error that it gives you is invalid character constant, which means you can't have more than one thing. And that, now it's saying there's no semicolon, but if we have the semicolon, it fixes it, right? Like if I do back again just to prove it, it will say invalid character constant. So this is kind of what it's expecting. Characters are expecting anything A to Z capital, A to Z lowercase, 0 through 9, and any special characters. So this is always what's being expected in the character, and it can take in a fair amount of things. There's an entire list, you can look it up, but this is just a general rule to have. So if we were to, for example, sysout, control space, and we do first char, you will see once we save this that it will actually print out that individual character that we asked it to. Now, if we have a second character, let's just go ahead and copy this, paste it down here. We'll call this second char. We'll name it H. We can save and run this again with first char plus second char, right? You can actually do this, and it'll actually do 171. So why did it do 171? We expected it to do C and H, right? We had just first char, it did C. But the second that we added second char, right, it gave us 171. So what is 171? Well, this is actually our Ascii definition for that letter and number. We can talk about that a little bit more in the future, but essentially it's taking what number capital C is in the grand list of things and adding it to what number H is in the grand list of the Ascii charts. I'll pull that up on the next video so you guys can see it, and maybe I'll put a link in the description so that you guys can reference it. But this is not how this is going to work. If you wanted to add these and concatenate them together, you would have to do a character. I think it's character.toString of first char. Right. So that should turn that first character into a string, and then we can do the same thing for the second one. So character.toString, copy that, paste that here, and then second char. So this should do what we expect it to now. Now you have C and H. So in order to concatenate that plus the adding of things, you need to convert to a string. A string is any string of characters, and when you add them like that, when you add a character like that, actually registers a number. Now, you might think, why is this useful? Why would I ever want a number when I'm adding two characters together? Well, if you ever wanted to do encryption or you ever wanted to do something where you're modifying it by one letter further, right? You can always add a certain amount to that. If I wanted to, let's say I want to do sys out, and I did, first char plus 5, right? So this is actually going to move to 72. So that tells me that C, capital C, is actually, 67? And if I want, I can do, I'll double check on how to do that in the next video, but there is a way to actually convert from this number to a character. There is a library, essentially, a mapping of characters to numbers, and you can always generate a new character based on that number. So this was kind of where we'll wrap up on character discussions, and we'll figure out on the next one where we're going to go from there.